We're here on Wednesday, and I'm delighted to say joining me now, all the way from the United States, is Chris Mason. Chris, thanks very much for getting up and speaking to us. I'll break the fourth wall a bit here, recording this on Tuesday night, but you get the UK time, but you've got up at 8:30 there, is it, to have a chat with us?
8:30, yeah. Just been a stretch from my regular routine of 10, but no, it's good to be joining you.
You've been getting up at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I live an artist life, you know what I mean? We get up at work out, do your kind of thing during the day, be as creative as possible, and still go to bed early. I've got a pregnant wife, you know what I mean? She's asleep most of the time, so that's what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say first up. I mean, everyone saw recently you guys expecting a baby. Congratulations. I loved the little video you did, very artistic, wouldn't expect anything less from you guys, to be fair, given your backgrounds and careers.
It took a while to get that one right. We did a lot of takes that we weren't happy with, and couldn't quite figure it out, but we got there eventually.
How many takes was it, do you reckon, roughly?
Oh, I mean, we started with one idea, and then it kind of just grew and changed and kept changing. Probably 2 hours worth of messing about, and then finally we do that, and we were like, "Oh, that works. Yeah, that's fine."
But some people might not know you're based obviously in LA on the West Coast. You guys were speaking before we started recording that you're in sort of a bit of a state of lockdown. But I imagine, given your news and what's coming, it must have been quite nice for you just to sort of spend time together.
Yeah, I mean, I was away. I was actually in New York about a month ago, shooting a pilot for ABC, and we'd only kind of started like 1 week of the production, and I'd shot 1 day's worth of stuff and was kind of in a hotel. And there was a couple of days where New York changed, like there was a definite shift in New York. Weirdly enough, it was after Everton got beat 4-0 by Chelsea, and I watched that in the terminal. And it was like 2 days later, all of a sudden, like people were queuing up outside stores. Everyone was a bit antsy with each other on the streets, and it wasn't a nice place to be, and it just didn't feel. It was kind of, the anxiety kind of grew there, and you could feel it in the air. And luckily, they stopped production, and they were like, "We're going to pause production for now and send you guys home, and we'll be back in a few weeks." And cut to 5 weeks later or whatever, and we're all still locked down. But I mean, yeah, this is time I wasn't supposed to be spending with Spencer, so like, it's been really nice. We've been doing the nursery hours, and I've been building stuff, painting stuff, DIY, and I can't complain. It's been great.
Just on that, you said you were sort of shooting something over in New York, and you sort of stopped it halfway through. I mean, that must be quite a challenge for you as an actor, sort of, because I imagine you get yourself in that zone, and you're thinking you're going to get this boxed off over the course of a certain amount of weeks. I mean, will that be hard for you going back to that when it does start again, to get yourself back in that mindset?
I mean, if we get the chance to go back to it,
yeah,
I'll be very happy, because a lot of actors are out of work right now. So, if at the end of this they still pick it up and we go and shoot the rest of the pilot, and hopefully the show gets picked up, then I'll be blessed compared to a lot of other actors who've lost their jobs outright and just haven't been able to work because there's no work going. So like, hopefully that, if we do pick it up, that would be amazing. The only thing that was hard is, like, I was in really good shape. I had a couple of shirtless scenes in it, so I was like about to hit my kind of. I was 3 days out of a shirtless scene, so everything was concentrated. I was about to start a totally different workout and really do all that stuff, and that's always a tough challenge for any job. But I was just there, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, go home," and it was like, "Oh, home, oh," and we had guests for the first couple of weeks of quarantine, so and a few beers and a few drinks, and then like, I was on for 5 weeks, and you go, "Oh, I've got to start thinking about my job and getting back into shape," but it's it's not too much to complain about.
I'm sure you won't rock up with a dad bod or anything like that, mate. I'm sure you'll be fine in that regard.
That's why I might get that as soon as the baby comes. It'll be like an instant.
But it is, obviously you've got to be dead disciplined for that. Has that been harder for you while you sort of locked down a little bit?
I mean, yeah, but I kind of go. I'm not a natural athlete, I don't think. You know what I mean? So like, I go with the extremes of, like, if I'm training to be shirtless, I'll like be very disciplined for this time coming up to it, and it's the motivation that helps. You know what I mean? I've been keeping myself ticking over with workouts and stuff, but like, even if I get into my best shape, it's still not like it's not like Chris Hemsworth or someone, you know what I mean? It's just someone that you go, oh, he's in decent shape, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to be ripped to death, you know what I mean? I'm too pale. People can't even see the shadows on my body. You know? Light reflects off me, so I don't get any tone or definition from that. So, but like, it's also just a good, like, it's a strange job as an actor. There's some days you feel like you can't do anything to further yourself because you're not performing. Days like this, you're not doing a scene or whatever. So I always think of working out as part of my job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like keeping myself physically fit to be able to do whatever character, whether that's just stretching and being able to, do things. I mean, I'm the least flexible man in the world, but like trying to make that better, you know what I mean?
So, I'll make that rally you for that title 100%. And get nowhere near touching me toes. Been doing exercise videos in the house for a while during this lockdown. I'm still struggling. But it just on that, you're saying, you've had to get yourself into shape for a few parts and you've done some shirtless stuff in the past. Have you ever had to go the other way where you've had to like really lose weight and get dead skinny, Not to the extent of someone like, Joaquin Phoenix and Joker recently, but did you...
I think my first ever like job like that, I played a cancer patient in a pilot for a BBC sitcom. It was actually, it doesn't sound funny because the cancer patient, but it was actually really funny. It was called Egg Box, and I had like the full shaven head and everything. And that was the first time I ever like thought, oh, I've got to be skinny because this guy's going through chemo and like he's in a really bad stage. And I'd never worked out really properly in my life or done a diet or anything, and I dropped like a stone pretty quickly, you know what I mean? And it looked effective enough because I was kind of just a normal looking kid at the time. But that was years ago. And then when I was shooting in Brazil, I shot a show in Brazil about Teddy Roosevelt going down the Amazon and exploring the Amazon. And I was lucky enough to be out there for like 3 months. But filming in the Amazon every day was like, the heat is unbelievable. And, I was eating 3 meals a day and snacking in between and taking these ketone drinks and stuff. But the weight was dropping off me. You know what I mean? I got down to like, I don't know, it was like 159, which for me is really small. You know what I mean? And I recently seen it and you can see how gaunt I look and how small. But it's realistic because, that's what would have happened to them. They all had malaria out there and they all had kind of thing. So that was probably the only time I've actually got skinny for a role.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. And I think as well, what this is sort of doing is making working out from home a lot more, acceptable and reputable. We've done a few videos. Me and my missus, like she's got this because she works at the NHS. She's got access to this like exclusive sort of health program that they can all get. And at first, whenever we started doing the videos, like in our living room, I'd always put the blinds down. I was like, I don't want people to see me, jumping up and down in my living room and that sort of stuff. But now it feels like everyone's doing it. Like our people who live upstairs from us, you can hear them, all the time, footsteps on the floor, getting involved in that sort of stuff. So yeah, hopefully, that can be a positive coming out of this. That people are just happy to work out at home a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's a different way. I mean, it's a challenge. I actually made we inherited when we moved in a bunch of paint cans. So like there was a few big ones and I filled them with water and I got different weights and stuff. And I was like, okay, I can use this. And I got the broom handle, which was like just an aluminium broom handle there. And I was like, I'll make like a little squat rack. And it was all going fine until the broom handle just went snap around my neck. And I was like,
oh.
It was never strong enough. And I was like, that's why people don't do this. So, but I've, it's being creative with your workouts as well. I mean, it's my wife's got a spin bike. We've got it lucky to have a spin bike, and I hate spin. I'd never use it, but this quarantine's made me go, okay, well, you probably should use that because there's nothing else to do. You know what I mean? It's here. Use it. It's good exercise. So,
yeah, sort of on the spinning as well. Sort of looked at the pictures of Calvert-Lewin on his spin bike yesterday and thought, never ever going to look that good on one of them, unfortunately.
I know. I was kind of. I remember seeing it like late last night, and I was like, "Do you think he like oils himself up before he does?" Just to be like, he hasn't even started sweating yet. He's just like, I'll just oil myself up and just do a few spins or whatever. I mean, I would if I looked like him.
Yeah, fair dude. Yeah, it looks like a proper action man, like the texture and everything of it. But fair dudes, it's demoralising when you see stuff like that. I was sort of looking at your Twitter feed there before we started going as well. I just wanted to bring a couple of things up. One post you had about tea. You've got loads of tea sent over. It's National Tea Day today, so I thought I'd ask you about that. Yeah, you still good supply. I mean, of all the things you miss about home, apart from the Toffees, obviously, is that the big one?
Tea Tea's actually done well. It travels well. You know, I mean, if I'm being fussy, like the water in Liverpool is perfect for a cup of tea. I think. You know, what I mean, 'cause I used to live in London, and the water's really hard,
Yeah.
so it's not the same. Over here, it's not too bad. We use like a filtered water, so like it's not, it's not too bad, and it makes a good cup of tea. But I've been having two a day. I'm actually having a coffee now, because it's so early. But yeah, tea's done well. I was lucky my mum and dad came in October and bought like 460. You know, I said, bring us a few tea bags over, and they bring like 460 tea bags, and you're like, well, that'll do. You know what I mean, that's fine.
Classic
So
parents, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't complain. So we've got a few left. We should last for a while. Yeah, so tea and then it's like chocolates and stuff. But luckily, there's like a good, so because I've got a sweet tooth, but there's a good supply of the UK chocolates over here, and the store right by my house actually sells like flakes and galaxies and twirls
Oh,
and stuff
nice.
like that. So if I'm ever craving it, I can just walk down there, and the prices aren't too bad compared to most places. So I bought a packet of digestives the other day, and I haven't had digestives in a while. You know what I mean? Just like
Decent.
plain digestives.
Yeah.
Look, you miss, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's good. I've got a supply.
Yeah, whenever your missus has been over to America, she always comes back with loads of their chocolates. I think she's the equivalent. Is it like Snickers M&Ms you do over there?
Snickers, M&Ms, yeah, they're knocking about.
Obsessed with them. Or peanut butter M&Ms, I think it might be. Sorry, peanut butter
Yeah,
M&Ms.
yeah, well, yeah. My wife likes them. I don't like. I'm peanut butter. I'm not a big.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Very American taster.
And the other thing I saw you post, potentially looking forward there, you said you'd like to do a podcast where you interview inanimate objects around your house. I mean, that is something we could definitely put out on the Blue Room if you if you're up for doing it.
I go through phases where you know I've got stuff I should be getting on with in my head. You know what I mean? I try and write and stuff like that, and I've just set up a soundproof studio in my closet yesterday with like sleeping bags and stuff nailed to the wall. But so trying to keep myself going with stuff, and even last night I was keeping myself up thinking, what if I do a podcast and I do you ever read Haunted Liverpool,
Yeah,
the book
yeah,
by Thomas Lemon?
yeah.
It's like, what if I
Few
do
of them,
like
isn't there? Yeah.
we read a passage out and then I interview someone, and I got carried away, end up being up for like an hour just in my head like thinking about this, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh yeah. And I think that was like just a bit of frustration last week of like looking around the house going, just like wonder what they're all thinking. You know what I mean? Wonder what all these objects are thinking. I was just sitting in the house doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's probably a few beers in when I tweeted that. So
Oh, brilliant one, yeah. If you're the dartboard and that's got a few stories to tell.
yeah, I've been getting some practice in. But, yeah, I need
Yeah.
to.
Just quickly, there you said you're doing some writing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've always wanted to get into, like properly, and there's a few ways to do it. As an actor, it's a transition that can be easily made if you make the right steps.
Yeah.
I would never claim to be a writer. Like I don't think I'd ever be good enough to sit in a writer's room and do that. I'd love to one day, even just to shadow someone, on like a show. But I've written a few feature scripts, and you get to the end and you go the end, and you sit back and you go, oh, I've done it. I've written this script. And then you read like the first few pages and you go, this is awful. But like I'm still learning, so I've got to like churn stuff out, and I'm trying to figure out that. But we've also worked with a few people on pitching like show Bibles. So you make like a 10-page document about what a show could be about, and you pitch that. And I've been trying to do a few things like that and work with different people, and it's just good. It just keeps you going, and hopefully one day I'll direct something of my own. I was planning on doing that in April, but that's obviously gone by the wayside for now, which is fine.
Really,
But
that soon, yeah. You were hoping to do something.
yeah, I got a
Because
couple
when
of
you were
friends.
speaking, I thought like maybe you were thinking like a bit more long term, but that's quality.
Well, directing, so it's a short film, and it's either going to look really good, and people will be like, "Oh wow, Chris can direct," or it's going to look like a student film that's not very good, and I'll go, "Oh, I need to work on that," and I will never release it to the public. You know what I mean? So it was a kind of win-win situation for me if I go into it. That's something I definitely want to do. Hopefully by the end of this year, depending on situations, obviously. But it's just another thing, It's another thing that a part of the creative kind of process.
Oh, classmate, yeah, really good. Let's have a chat about the kit you've got on then. We were saying again before we recorded there, obviously these are going out as audio as well. So people who, like yourself, who've been listening to the podcast, haven't always been aware what shirt we've been talking about. So yours is probably, I don't know what, do you know what year exactly it's from?
Oh, was it like 2011,
I'm thinking 2011, 12 maybe,
12?
but it's
Billy
effectively
Electronovich.
the,
That's all I think of when I see it. Billy Electronovich scoring that
yeah.
screamer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's effectively for people who aren't watching this, it's effectively the one with the triangle, the white upside down triangle on the front is Lecoq Sportif.
Mm.
It sort of looks a bit like a bra, doesn't it, the top of it?
It's not, you know what? It's not my favorite kit. Like
It's not, no.
I had I went through my closet yesterday and put everything together and looked at all my tops. I'm surprised how many I've got over here, but I know my dad's just found more in the loft in Liverpool. I'm gonna keep hold of them because I'm gonna do something with them one day. I'm
Yeah,
sure. Daughter's gonna be wearing them or something. I don't
of
know.
course.
Um, but this one is signed. You probably won't be able to see it. Signed just here by
Yeah.
Roberto Martinez.
Wow.
Nonetheless, the story that goes with it is uh, I was living in London. I just shot a movie, and it was like my first ever movie. I had a bit of money for the first time, and it was kind of, an exciting time to be 21 or 22 or whatever it was. And my best mate phoned me from Liverpool, and we used to go to a lot of the away games together and stuff. And he phoned me, and he was like, "Do you want to go to Miami to watch Everton in pre-season when we were in the
Wow.
ICC?" And I was like, "Yeah." I
Obviously, yeah.
told my dad first, "Dad, it's going to cost me this much. Can I go?" And he was like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Go on then." I was like, "Okay." So we, spent a bit too much money going to Miami, but we had 6 days there, which was great, and went to the stadium to watch Everton versus Valencia. Now in that tournament, we'd done all right. We played Real Madrid and Juventus
Yeah.
already, and I went to the game against Valencia, which was the worst one of them all. And Achibi missed an absolute sitter, but we were in the stadium. There was barely anyone in there, you know what I mean? No one turned up for the Everton game. We're like the only two Evertonians in our end. There was
Yeah.
others dotted about. And it was awful. It was just an awful performance. I mean, it wasn't fun to watch really. I mean, it was like, oh, okay. And then we went the next day for the Chelsea Real Madrid, and it was packed, like packed
Yeah.
out. Really makes sense. But we went to a fan event in Miami in South Beach, and they put it on, and it was like, oh, in this bar we're gonna do like Graham Sharp will be there. Graham Souness. Graham Sharp will be there. Uh, Marouane Fellaini and Roberto Martinez, and Bobby was new, you know what I mean? So it was like, oh, Roberto Martinez, get to go and meet him. So we turn up, and there was a few Blues. There's probably like, I don't know, I think 70, 80 Blues there, you know what I mean? Turn up to this club, we're all waiting outside, and we get in there, and it's like, it was a sex club. Everton, Everton had hired out this sex club. It was so weird. There was like human cages hanging off the wall and everything. And we're just standing there going, what is this place? We get a free bottle of Chang each, you know. Yeah,
Oh my
cheers.
God.
Thanks, Chang. And we're all standing around kind of going, and Darren Griffiths was there, you know, I mean, he's doing his bit, and he was like introducing, he was like, all right, well, we're all here in this place, and he was kind of awkward about it. And, there was a few questions and answers with Fellaini and Martinez. And then he could go and get things signed, just sign pictures. Fellaini was fuming, didn't want to be there.
I suppose he went, didn't he, in a few weeks, yeah?
3 days later, he'd
Yeah.
gone. I mean, so it was like, oh, go figure. Roberto was charming and all that, and blah blah blah. So happy, and it's like, oh wow, this guy's great. You know, what I mean, he's going to be the best manager ever. Little did we know. And yeah, but it was. I mean, we went to the bathroom, and like the cubicles were massive, right? For
Oh,
a
wow.
and the handles on the doors were marital aids. Let's just put it. Uh, so it was just so surreal being there with like a bunch of Scousers as well, like some of the Everton fans that went to like, you'll know them. You know what I mean, the hardcore lads who go
Yeah.
everywhere. They've always got the same flag, and they look out of place in a sex club. You know what I mean, in the middle of Miami, put it that way. But it was one of the most surreal experiences. So like, as much as I don't really love this kit, that memory is great. And I've tried to wash the Roberto Martinez out of it, but it won't go. It's stuck there now.
That is ridiculous. Do you reckon it was one of them where the club just sort of looked for somewhere nearby and thought, right, we'll just book that?
I think it was probably just a pricing thing. You know what I mean? It was probably like, well, what can we afford? And that place was like, well, we don't open till probably, I don't know, midnight or whatever, so you can have it at 6. And it was like bleach, the smell of bleach when you go in somewhere, and it was like,
Yeah, yeah.
why does it smell so much of bleach? And then you look around, you're like, oh yeah, I get it, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh man, that's ridiculous. I bet your Fellaini was thinking, "What on earth is going on here? I should be at Man United now, and I'm at a sex club in Miami with Bobby Martinez."
It wasn't long, and I remember, even like we got back from, I think he'd gone already, and we got back, and it was like I'd signed pictures by him and stuff, and you just flashed him in the bin. You know what I mean? You're like, well, I don't want that now. You know what I mean? He's gone. It's ta. So yeah, it was mad. And we bumped into some of the Valencia team out in Miami, and we were like, oh, we've seen who did this. My mate's better than me at picking out players. You know what I mean? He's like Danny Parejo and Matthew, the fellow who's in our Barcelona or whatever.
Ginger
And then
ale.
he goes, taps one on the shoulder. Hey, can we get a photo? And we got a photo with this player, and we're like, 2 days later, that player goes on to sign for Liverpool. It was Sissoko.
Oh, the left back, yeah.
So we got with a player while we were there, and apart from Fellaini and Graham Sharp, but like got this photo with him, like, hey, we met him in the street, and he went and signed for Liverpool 2 days later. So it was like a cursed little trip that we had in Miami for.
So when you probably finished that day, you probably thought, I've got an Everton player signature, a Valencia player signature. By the time you got back, you had a United player signature and a Liverpool player signature.
So they both went in the bin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. Was Martinez a nice fella though? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing everyone says. Do you know what I mean? For me, he's like, he holds a lot of secrets behind that, that false charisma. I mean, and there's a lot of flaws to him. But like, if you know how to talk to people, I mean, people have proven it. Politicians and all that. He's like a politician. I mean, the way he talks. So.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see. Interesting to see him recently talking about all that. But been a pleasure speaking to you, mate. Really enjoyed that. Just before you get off, I seen before as well on your Twitter as well that Dirty John is out for people in the States. Where can they watch that, and when can they watch it?
So it's coming out June 2nd on USA Network over here. I have no idea when it's going to come out in the UK. I think it's a show that Netflix have already probably got it lined up because I know they've got the first season.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe it'll be like a couple of months and then Netflix will pick it up and then it should be out there. Hopefully the sooner the better because it's don't know if you've seen the first season, but the first season's good and it's a totally different story. And then this season, from what they were saying on set anyway, they think is going to be a little bit better. And like Christian Slater is in it, and I get to play a young version of him. So like we play the same character, which is kind of cool, and the script was amazing. So like, yeah, I'm really excited for that one to come out actually.
Class, mate. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Stay safe anyway. Best of luck with everything going forward. To you and Spencer as well, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Nice one for that. See you later, Matt.
See you later, mate.